Hello guys, I've been cooking up something pretty special for this video. Last episode we took a look at the basics that exist until now, but it's time to jump right in and add new features. I think that the species system is cool, but it lacks a bit of variety. So let's add something more complex. Let's start by introducing a complete game changer. In the last video I mentioned that every species has two subclasses, but that will change now. I want to add more variety to Project Atlas, so I decided to take on the task to improve the species one by one. And since I am a workaholic, let's just introduce 6 different subspecies for the demon class. And to make it even more interesting, every class will be very different. So let's say a random player watched too much anime and wants to be a demon lord. Such an innovative idea. They will then select a demon class. Before selecting a subclass, which only happens after a certain character level, they have the basic demon class. I don't want to make the basic class too boring, so it will be unique in its own way. One of the subclasses will be an extension of the main class, if the player wants to continue with the current perks. All the other subclasses will be a bit different. Let's start with the basic demon class. Currently, they have 3 buffs and 3 debuffs. I changed that a bit. Every species has now one big special ability and some smaller buffs and debuffs. For the basic demon, they can consume other players' souls by killing them. These souls will be lost when they touch soul sand. Gathering souls gives demon a multiplier for their health. Every soul consumed will add a multiplier of 0.1 up to 10 souls in total. As for their normal debuffs, things will stay the same, except for one thing. They will no longer die in direct sunlight, but gain weakness, slowness, and no mana regeneration at all. The system will constantly get the player's position, and then get the highest block at that position. If the player is above that block, and if it is daytime and not raining, which means the player is outside in the sun, then the debuffs will be applied. Adding potion effects is very easy, since this method here will be called every second. We can just give the player any effect with one line of code. Okay, now let's extend the demon class a bit. If you want to play a similar species, you can select the Hellspawn. The Hellspawn is an aggressive bitch straight from hell. They share almost every trait with the basic demon, but there are a few exceptions. First of all, they can fuel themselves with magma. Yeah, that's right, they can chuck down magma like a shield potion. Drinking a lava cocktail will improve all spells that deal fire damage. I forgot to mention that there are type weaknesses and strength, just like in a certain video game series. But let's keep that for another video. Where do demons live? In hell, of course, but not every demon does so. Some demons also live in the void. That's where the Void Walker comes in. They are generally harmless, but extremely intelligent. They have a very interesting ability, since they can open rifts in space. This personal rift can only be used by the Void Walker itself. It has 2 points, A and B. Once placed, it stays open forever, until the player dies. The dimension does not matter, but it can only be used for personal travel. Although rifts can only be placed at night, they are permanently open and can be used whenever the Void Walker decides to play Among Us in Minecraft. In addition to all that, they have permanent night vision, speed at night, and weakness in sunlight. To counterbalance that, they will take damage in water, including rain. Now, the next species is a bit funny. I present to you a ghost, called the Wraith. A Wraith is a type of ghost that cannot walk through salt. Okay, no, that's only in Phasmophobia. Let's add something similar to Minecraft. I don't want them to be invisible all the time, but only at daytime. Their health and mana bar will also adjust accordingly. Of course, they cannot use any spells or damage players while invisible, even though the Wraith itself can get attacked. At night, when they are visible, they have night vision and speed. The only way to make a ghost visible at daytime is with soul sand. A Wraith near soul sand will be visible, and give them slowness 2 and weakness. The whole concept makes place for some funny RP situations. Next up is a beast from the void, someone who destroys everything in his path. The Chaos Beast. They can use a special ability called Domain Expansion, and yes, it works similar to the ones in JJK. They have points in their bar that will be recharged when they kill a player. Right-clicking a redstone block while screaming "Now I'd win" will place a domain expansion. It is a sphere where players cannot get in or out except for the owner of the domain itself. Players inside the domain will get debuffs and they can only escape once the domain collapses. This happens either manually by right-clicking the block again, or when the points are drained. Prismarine is the Chaos Beast's worst enemy. Touching any kind of Prismarine will instantly cancel all existing domain expansions. Throughout Heaven and Earth, Prismarine alone is the honored one. They also have permanent slowness, night vision at night, and damage in water. In the previous video I mentioned that another demon subspecies is the Fallen Angel, so let's talk about them. The Fallen Angel is a headhunter species that will focus on slaying players one by one. Killing a player grants them a point, as shown in the bar. While having these points, every spell field will improve. Spell fields are specific values, like the damage output, the range, or anything variable. They will increase when you level your spells, but the Fallen Angel can temporarily upgrade these fields with these points. They also have slowness during the day, night vision and speed at night, and since angels gain buffs around gold, Fallen Angels will take damage around gold. The next one on the list is the Ghoul, an undead species that lives underwater and on the ground at the same time. I had to add something new to the game, something special that will affect players around them: radiation. Their radiation level changes depending on their environment, the weather, and the time of day. They can wash off their radiation in the rain or in the water. There are 6 different radiation levels. Every level will add an additional effect and they will stack. At some point though, the Ghoul himself will also suffer, so going too far may not be the best idea. And finally, some of you have been waiting for this species, the Vampire. They don't have normal mana, no, they have blood mana. Blood mana is a different kind of mana that won't regenerate naturally. You need to hunt down animals or players in order to get mana. However, this mana has a much higher cap and it cannot be regenerated by other spells. They can also transform into a bat. As a bat they can fly, but not higher than 20 blocks. The system will check if they are in their bat state and 20 blocks above the highest block. If yes, they'll just be teleported down. And they can't use any spells or interact with players, of course. To transform into a bat, you simply right click a coal block and left click if you want to leave the state. Just don't do it mid-air or you will fall down. Vampires are also relatable as fuck because they hate the sun. They will take massive burn damage when going outside during the day. At night, they have speed and night vision, and apart from the burn damage, they will also have slowness at daytime. And that's about it for this video. I will add new subspecies to every single species, so stay tuned. In the next video, we are going to cover the elf species. After adding a few subspecies to existing classes, we're going to add a world event system and a local weather system, so we will cover a lot more of the code. As always, comment what you think about this, and see you in the next part. Bye bye.